All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live stream with Charlie and Matt, sans Charlie, and sans our guest, Thomas Yoxall, as well. So we're going to hang out and wait and see if they come in. Matt did reach out to me and say he's got some bad internet connection, and I haven't heard from Mr. Yoxall yet. So this should be interesting. If you're if anyone is out there, please leave a comment in the comments so we have something to talk about and someone to talk with. Um, so here's let me share with you about my day. I did uh, a I was on the bullet today. I was on the bullet with okay. I just got a notification that things are not on my pages because I have been Facebook banned. So I guess we'll talk about that first until Matt and Thomas show up. I was Facebook banned for something I put up in 2019. So yeah, happy Easter, Mark. It's good to have you here, man. It is good to see you. I'm glad you made it. You're my show of one. There's 6 people here, but you're the only that's made a comment. Yeah, so I got banned, and this is not going out on my Facebook stuff, but it is going out on my YouTube. Anyway, so I was banned for something in 2019. Today, I spent an hour with Paul Lathrop, the Deputy Director of Social Media at Second Amendment Foundation. He's got a daily podcast that's a half hour at 6 o'clock Eastern time that he does. And then he does one on Saturdays at 1 o'clock Eastern. And I was the guest. I was one of the co-guests. The other 2 co-guests were Beth Alcazar from the USCCA and from Peacemakers and Pacifiers, or Pacifiers and Peacemakers. I get a little dyslexic. So Beth was on there, and also Tony Simon from the Diversity Shoot, from the Second is for Everyone podcast. And we had a great time. What ended up happening is Tony pulled out his patch of him in a bathtub, and I pulled out my Gun Graham sticker, and we pretended those were some characters on the show. So that was kind of fun, and you can find that, I believe, on the Second Amendment Foundation's YouTube channel or the Polite Society podcast YouTube channel. You might be able to find it there. Yeah, that's what I was up to this afternoon, and then I went out and actually filmed a Gun Graham for somebody. I went out. I had to crank out a tune for somebody. I've got to edit it tonight after this is done, and then I'm going to put that up on YouTube. What other exciting stuff is going on? I put out my 143rd show this past week, and the episode I put out was with Toby Leary, who is one of the owners of Cape Gunworks, and we drove around Hyannis, Massachusetts, talking about the start of Cape Gunworks and how they started their business. It went from running a little gun store and selling ammunition underneath his stairway in his business, and he built it up to buying. They were going to buy a business, buy a gun store, and then that ended up falling through. Then they ended up renting a space that was a former bank, and they had a big vault they could keep their guns in. And then after they had that, then they were able to secure some financing and ended up purchasing this big building, or renting the big building. I'm not sure which, but they got a big building with an indoor range and classrooms, and they do archery, and they sell all sorts of firearms and all sorts of really good stuff. So that was a good interview. Last Saturday, I actually went to down to Connecticut, down to Southington, Connecticut, and I interviewed Mary Forges. And she is a young gal that ended up using a gun in self-defense, and no shots were fired, thank goodness. She was essentially attacked by someone that she knew. So I got to drive her around and interview her last week. So that's going to be coming out on the 4th Tuesday in April. And yesterday, I actually filmed a local guy. His name is Dave Kopaz. All right, Ken Corley's here. Ken, good to see you. I know you're one of Matt's students, I believe, right? He's talked about you before, and you've certainly chimed in and been here, and it's good to have you guys back. Anyway, so there is an event in Auburn, Massachusetts that I'm going to be speaking at, and Jared from Guns and Gadgets is going to be there. Dan Wass from Good Gun Bad Guy. I want to make sure I get that right. He's going to be speaking there as well, and I believe Jan Morgan is going to be speaking. So it should be kind of an interesting thing. Last year at this event, Jan Morgan was supposed to come, but she could not make it. But Dan was there, and Jared was there, and Eric Pratt from Gun Owners of America was there as well. Here's who's here. Guns and Barbecue is here. Good to see you. I've heard you've had some people on your show too, Mr. Guns and Barbecue. And Mr. Anderson is here. He's been here before. Guns and Barbecue's been here before. And Don Griffin is here as well. Good to see you, man. Good to see everybody here. So glad people are here. So for those people that are just hopping on now, Matt is having some technical difficulties, and Thomas Yoxall is not here either. So I'm just vamping and keeping people up to date on what I've been up to and what's been going on with me. Mr. Anderson says he is always here. You know, sometimes you see people that tune in on this stuff, and you're like, you know, whether it's with this or with the bullet that put on by the Second Amendment Foundation, you see these people pop up all the time, and part of me thinks to myself, don't they have a job to go to? And then I realize that I'm on just as much as they are. So it's good that you guys are all here. I believe if all goes well, then we should be giving away another Mantis X10. But we're going to wait for Matt to get here because he's the guy that's got all that stuff here. Guns and Barbecue says, maybe a few, but one day I will be successful with my show. Oh, please. I'm just trying to keep up, man. I really am. I'm really just trying to keep up, and thank you very much. So I'm very grateful for the opportunities I have and for the work that I do, and I love it. Hello, Melvina from Cali. She's from Cali. Matt, I got some good news. Matt says he is almost here, which is cool. And Guns and Barbecue says, by the way, I love the interview with Val the other day. Thanks, man. So I'm a little bit of a knucklehead, so we can sit here and say, you know, I'm doing cool stuff, but I'm still a knucklehead. I ended up publishing the show 3 weeks ago, I guess it was. And I put it out. I did all the social media stuff. I put it on my website. I put it on Gunstreamer. It was on everything, but I forgot to make it public on YouTube until Thursday night. I was actually out with a buddy of mine. We were having a drink, and he recently purchased a firearm. He's an old Navy guy. When I say old, he's like 79. So he was in the Navy quite a while ago, and bought a gun, and he wanted to learn how to shoot it because it's been a while. So he ended up getting an MTP Easy Shield in 380. So he's like, how do I work this? I'm like, oh, I've got one of those. It's pretty simple, but we need to head to the range to do this. And he was telling me that he thought he was trying to talk his wife into coming to the range with us as well, so she could learn how to use this. And I said, you know, interesting thing about having your wife use a firearm, she might end up needing to use a firearm. And then I dug up the show with Val, and I found out I wanted to share it with him, and I found out that I had it unpublished. It was unlisted, so I had to go back and fix that. So yeah, so the story of Val Evans, if you want to check that out. It is I'm good for arthritic hands. Oh yeah, it is. Oh my gosh, I talked to someone today at the gas station, and he was telling me he had a shoulder injury. He was doing some training up at the SIG Academy in New Hampshire and messed his shoulder up. So he's not able to shoot any long guns until he gets rehab. And he said he can't even rack the slide on his SIGs. So I said, hey man, you might want to check out the Easy 380 or the Easy 9 by Smith & Wesson. So he might want to check that out. Anyway, so back to the story of Val Evans as I sit here in Vamp for more time. The story of Val Evans, she ended up using a gun in self-defense in her house. There was a guy that broke into her house, broke the door in 2 places, but could not get in the door, which is good news. ended up this guy ended up taking out one of her windows and came in through the kitchen window, like that old Joe Cocker song. Came into the window. She heard the noise. Her daughter was sleeping. It was like 10:30 at night. Grabbed the gun, found him, and ended up shooting him. She shot him once. Shot him once in the groin and once in the hand. And he did survive, which whether it's good or bad, who knows. No charges were brought against him because this is a little crazy to me. Charges were not brought against him because he did not let her know that he didn't let her know what his intentions were. Like, he didn't come in and say, I'm gonna steal your stuff, or I'm gonna, take your life or something like this. He didn't, she didn't know why he was there. She didn't get in trouble, which obviously is good news, but no charges were brought against him. But I do believe that he will be carrying a bag around to go to the bathroom in. So that is the story with him. What else? Oh my gosh, you guys have questions, comments, something. Help a brother out here, man. HBO. The HBO special. What can we talk about? So this is like my wall of fame in the kitchen here. I got a picture of the boy and the girl, but this stuff this stuff right here that's just over my shoulder is let me tell you what this stuff is. It is ashes from a fire walk that I've done, and I've done this 3 or 4 times. My mentor is an author and an insurance salesman, and he does a fire walk. He used to do them twice a year. So I would go to these once or twice a year when he had them, and you walk on fire, and it was kind of a cool thing. It's a good thing to get over your fears is really what it is. Guns and Barbecue says, yeah, that blew my mind. I assume he's talking about the story with Val. The more I talk to people, the more I find out that there are people that end up using a firearm in self-defense, and it's I guess I don't want to say it's a little freaky. It's what we decide that we want to do as people that carry firearms and that want to be able to protect ourselves and protect the lives of others, which is kind of what Thomas Yoxall's story is. Let's see. We got a comment here from Mr. Anderson. Always wanted to try the easy, but if I suggested, she won't go for it. All right. So Mrs. Anderson, tune in. Check this out, Mrs. Anderson. You should probably try the easy, one of the easy Smith & Wessons. If you had a hard time racking the slide, the easies are so much easier. That's why they call them easy. I will say that I am not. I'm not a fan of the grip safety that's on the easy shields, but I get that they have them. They have the grip safety, and then they have the manual safety as well. Guns and Barbecue says, granted, I never experienced it, but I'm pretty sure people would. People don't forcibly break down into your hike and then announce, break into your house and announce, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to play patty cake. That is true. People don't let you know what their intentions are. The bad guys get to decide when and who that they attack, but we get to decide how we respond. David Moultrup, what is my opinion of the police shooting on the 4th, the guy fighting with the officer and the officer's decision in the end? I think I saw the video of this. It was where the guy was arrested. He was arrested. The police officer went up to him, asked him to produce some ID, and he turned and ran. That's what I think. That's the one that I saw. That's the one I think you might be talking about. I don't know enough to mention it. All I saw was a quick video, and I don't. When I saw it, I was kind of curious why he ended up shooting the guy, but certainly I wasn't there, and I don't have enough information, so I can't speak knowledgeably, unfortunately. Sorry about that, David. Don Griffin says, I think the shield is amazing. Plus, most women go through the women's class and they love it. A lot less recoil. I will say this, I used to say that friends don't let friends shoot 380s, right? And after I got the M&P Easy 380, I think it wasn't as little of a powerhouse as like I thought it was going to be a cream puff. I really thought there was going to be nothing to it, and it was more than I thought there would be when I first fired it. So um, yeah, so that's the whole 380 thing. I've got another friend that has oh my god, he had some $50 380 handgun, and I wanted to get a holster for him for it, and I ended up buying him a regular M&P Shield in 9. But I did a research on I did try to do some research on this particular gun, and the first thing that came up is somebody said they spent $50 on this gun and they paid way too much for it. And he said he fired it once and the slide fell off and it was bad news. So I encouraged my friend. This is kind of funny. I encouraged my friend to get rid of it. Um, he ended up finding some generic holster to carry it in, and he showed me. He's like, "Hey, where do you think I should carry this gun?" And I said, "Dude, you should carry that right back to the gun store and get rid of it. That's what you should do with it." Let's see here. Mark says, "I'm not a fan of the grip safety either. Always around if someone would like to try it." All right, so Mark's a good buddy of mine. He's in Central Massachusetts, so if anyone is in Central Massachusetts and wants to have a little gun safari with Mark, Mark is a great guy, and he's a certified instructor, and he'd love to take people out. We're supposed to go shooting this week, I believe. Yes, there was a long struggle. Guy grabbed a cop's taser. Okay. Still hard to say whether it was worthy compared to other struggles. Mike the Cop has a great breakdown of it. All right, we'll check it out. Mike the Cop is a YouTuber. I believe he's from Massachusetts. Is that not wrong? I think Mike the Cop is from Massachusetts. So yeah, let's you know what I do want to talk about. I spent some time talking about this and thinking about it, is the shooting that happened in New York on the subways. And there's a lot of things that did not go on right. We had the cameras that did not work. We had this guy buy a gun 10 or 15 years ago, I think, in Ohio. Didn't commit any crime. Oh, no, I don't want to say he didn't commit any crimes with it. One of two things should have happened. Either when he bought the gun, if he served some time, if he was arrested before, had some priors, then he shouldn't have passed the background check. And if he didn't pass the background check 15 years ago when he bought the gun and had an incident, they should have checked to see if he had any firearms and then taken away from him. So to me, that is just a big spot where the government fell through and the government did not do its job, very much like, oh my gosh, the shooting that we had in Texas. There were a couple of those. I think the one with Jack Wilson's the one that I'm thinking of, where the guy got a gun, bought it legally, but was on should not have passed a background check, but the government didn't do their job to report it to their agency there. Mr. McCollum, hey, weren't you commented on me? Didn't you comment on me getting banned on Facebook? Brian says, I've had some older students and people with disabilities that have problems with the grip safety, but I love the easy slide. Yeah, the easy slide is really good, but I am not a fan of the grip safety either. The grip safety on a 1911, I'm cool with. The grip safety on the Easies, the Smith & Wesson Easies, I am not a fan of. I think it makes the frame look weird as well. And then if you don't have it down, then that's going to be an issue. So anyway, so back to the New York thing. He rented a truck in Philly. I think he was from Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. And he brought a gun up to New York City, and of course it's illegal to have a firearm in New York City unless you have a permit. And if he's just a regular dude, not someone special is what I mean, somebody like Howard Stern. If he doesn't have a permit in New York City, then of course it's not legal for him to carry in New York City, which was illegal, as well as shooting people is illegal. So a lot of things, a lot of laws were broken, and the anti-gun folks are going to come out and tell us that we need more gun laws and we need magazine restrictions. And I think I read that supposedly he fired 33 rounds. I think it said he had 4 or 5 magazines. I don't remember if it was 4 or 5, but he was in the 10-round magazine restriction. I want to say Joe Biden came out a bunch of years ago and said that it takes about 2 minutes to reload a gun, but I'm sure we all know that's a bunch of bunk. And when Joe was young, that's probably how long it took to load muzzle loaders. So yeah. Don says most women tend to have a problem with the grip safety, especially with arthritis. Something else about the MMPs, about the Easies. I saw somebody, she's a female instructor, and I forget who it is, so I cannot give her credit. But she did say something along the lines of she thinks the Easies are now the J-frames that people want to push off on women, even though they might not be a good gun for them. They want since these are targeted for women, they want to sell them to women and want women to start carrying them. So I think the slides on those are super easy to rack. They're pretty easy to take apart. That little yellow notch that the MMPs used to have in them to take them apart, the takedown, it's not a takedown lever, the takedown bar. I forget what it is. It's not the one on the side, but it's the one that was in the inside the frame of the gun. Is kind of a pain in the neck, and I'm glad that they don't have those on the Easies. And Don agrees with me with this particular person that the Easy, the Smith & Wesson Easies have become the new J-frames for ladies. So we got a new guy joining in. So glad he's here. C&T Designs and Arms. What's up, perps? Please let that be peeps instead of perps. Let's say that's a typo, shall we? Mark is back. Mark says, my wife frowned on getting the Easy due to how it looks. I don't like the safety on it either. Had to go for an HK VP9 to recover for that. That's a costly way to cover. She could have had 2 shields. I can't read here. Keep it to show, folks. Keep it to show, folks. All right. Oh yeah, keep it to show, folks. Gotcha. The grip easily seems to the grip safety seems like you do have to hold it high in the back strap, which of course is how you should hold the gun to help absorb the recoil. But you got to have that little extra pressure on there, and I think that's what doesn't quite work out. Who CT? Nope, definitely not perps. If he said it, I think he meant people. So that's cool. Gosh, what else do we have here? This is great. We've got 22 minutes into the show. It is just Charlie. Matt, it looked like Matt was about to sign in, but he did not make it. The great thing about this for me is that this is all on Matt's stuff on Facebook, because I did get banned on the Facebook. Let's talk about Matt, that since he's not here. I know, right? Does he watch the shows? I don't know. I don't know if he has to watch the shows because he lives through them. And ladies and gentlemen, he's about to hop in here. Oh my goodness. Meet the pressers. Matt Mallory. We were just going to start talking about you.
You know, I figured I had to make a fashionably late entrance. Dun, dun, dun. Oh my goodness, dude. You know how you're like, I'm going to reboot my computer just so that I got fresh memory and there's nothing, no errors. And then you're like, I should probably do it in the morning, but you do it like in a half an hour before the show starts. And I had to reboot the browser. Like every time I went to go out into the browser, so my camera wasn't working. So I had to literally crash and end the session like 10 times. And then finally, and then I was going to switch over to Firefox because I'm using Edge on this screen and Firefox on this one to do research. And then it sends you a code and you got to wait for the code in the email. Oh my goodness. It's like, just want to get a laptop and have it just for the show, so I don't touch it or do anything else with it.
That would be nice.
How in the heck are you, Charlie?
I am living the dream, man. It is me for 23 minutes.
I know. I was watching it on the phone. I'm like, well, at least I can watch my show on the phone while I'm trying to get on the show.
Oh my gosh.
So I liked how you said cross-linking shows. I heard you say that. And that's something that I always try to, like, I'll see somebody post something and I'll be like, oh, you know what? I had that person on my show. I should probably throw them on there. Hey, Ken, happy Easter. Happy Easter.
Easy there. Yeah, I was speaking of cross-promoting, I did get banned on the Facebook. So everything is going out to your stuff on the Facebook. Yeah. And onto YouTube for me. So
I'm gonna
What are
send
you gonna do?
I'm gonna send Thomas a message here and see what.
All right, you send Thomas a message.
He thought it was a 2-hour show, so maybe we just make it an hour and a half show tonight. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, we could start any time now.
We can
We can start any time. What are some other good stories? Oh, I am looking forward to this week. I'm on vacation from my day job. Don't tell people I have a day job. It'll blow my cover. My pay will also be on vacation as well. My paycheck will reflect my vacation. But I am going down to New Jersey to hang out with John Petrolino. And we are going to take a lesson from Ann Morrow, who is a collegiate shotgun coach. And she's traveled all over the country and all over the world. She's taught seminars, and she's one of the who's who for shotgun coach shooting.
Nice.
And I'm going to take a lesson from her and get some video of that and incorporate it into a show. So that'll be kind of fun. Mr. Anderson hasn't been on the Facebook for over a year. Good for you, man. Good for you.
I had that conversation with my wife today. I'm like, I'm sorry I didn't post about your birthday on your birthday. And she goes, that's okay. You gave me enough love offline.
Oh, there you go. That's what counts, right?
Right.
So Guns and Barbecue wants to know what I got banned for. Let me pull it up here because I had to.
2019 or something.
It was
right?
2019. Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah, right on top of it, Facebook. Right on top of it.
Right.
I shared an image of. Oh my gosh, let me dig it up here. Oh, I shared an image of Jeffrey Dahmer, and it says, "A sandwich isn't a sandwich, or a sandwich is just a sandwich, but a manwich is a meal."
I didn't know who that was. I saw the picture. I'm like, it's a guy. It's a funny saying.
It's Jeffrey Dahmer.
Until you just said that, I had no clue who it was, and now it makes
sense. It is Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah.
Clarice.
Exactly. Yeah. So I got Facebook banned for that for I don't know for 30 days maybe.
Did you see my post right after that? Like you said, you got banned, and I was like, great. You have to get banned just before we go on a live show. We're actually going to have it on your channel. On your
right
page.
60 days is what my ban is.
Wow.
60 days.
Wow.
See, some people like Jeannie here, Jean, she appreciates my humor. I love it, man. That's good stuff. It is funny. Right. Yeah, and Steve's shocked and Guns and Barbecue's got the laugh face because it's funny.
I love watching Steve's post. Steve is it Denson? Dennison? How do you say that? Denson. Yeah, he's always Steve.
Steve D.
He's always posting stuff about honey or maple syrup. I love seeing that. I think he just posted something the other day about, is this stuff ever going to end? And there was this white stuff on the ground. I was like, what are you in? Are you in Chicago? You got that joke.
It's Chicago. I got it. It's cold. Yeah. Mark wants to know 60-day ban for something that's 3 years old. Really?
I think they're proactively going back and trying to get us because they just don't want to do it going forward. They figure, well, let's find something. They must have done something that goes against our terms that we changed, right? It's like when we have criminal charges and stuff for people here in New York, you charge them and then you hold them up to what the law was at that time, not 5 years later when they're finally actually in front of a jury, what the law is at that time. It's what it was when they were arrested for the crime. But yeah, Facebook's proactively going back and finding stuff. I guarantee you, if we got enough, if we did some sort of class action lawsuit against them, they would find that they were discriminating and going back and banning us for stuff that at the time wasn't against their terms. Almost guaranteed. Yeah. Just saying. That's just a gut feeling of mine.
Yeah. So David says here, when you get back on, they'll still shadow ban me so I don't get any views on my posts.
Well, that's honestly why we added it to all your other pages too, because we wanted to get more.
Wanted to get more eyes on this, absolutely. Yeah, but yeah,
for sure.
60-day ban, really?
So I first got on and I hit open for File Explorer so I could pop up my our live show stuff, so I could pull up the questions that I usually paste, and it just popped up. That's how slow behind my computer is.
Yeah, it would be kind of fun if I don't know. Would it be fun if Elon Musk bought everything? I don't want to say bought everything, but it is kind of interesting that when what's his face there, Amazon,
Jeff
when
Bezos.
Bezos,
Bezos.
right? Isn't his ex-wife the richest woman in the world, and all she had to do was divorce
Marry
Jeff
him.
Bezos?
Yeah.
Right.
Alimony.
Paying your bills, alimony, paying your bills.
Well, speaking of that, what's everybody's thoughts on the Elon Musk stuff? That's pretty interesting. How he's free speech, and I'm going to tank you, Twitter, because you suck.
Right, and so I guess Twitter's got some sort of a blue pill thing where they're gonna, like, I don't know, what do they call it? Split their shares, something like this. They've got some sort of a plan B. So hopefully it still doesn't so will negatively affect Elon Musk. I do think it's kind of funny that somebody
Really?
I saw somebody post something that said, you know what, all of the folks at Twitter who drive their Teslas to work are protesting that Elon Musk is buying Twitter.
Are they walking now or Flintstone cars? They just turn off the electric?
I don't know, man.
That's nuts. So go ahead. Do that one, then I'll get the Don Griffin one.
Yeah, so Guns and Barbecue says they didn't start hitting me until I started following a bunch of different two-way types 2 years ago. They found out they found a thing that was 4 years old for my first violation, literally a day after looking into those pages. Holy moly.
Yeah, that's them proactively going back. So Don, I will be in the St. Louis area the second you reach out to me about hosting me to come there.
Boom.
So I'll do Saber and UTM, and if it comes in time, maybe we can throw Taser up there too, because I am going to be one of a handful of master instructors for the Taser civilian course, and it'll be starting to roll out in person hopefully soon. It's supposed to be by the end of March, but they're a little behind on it, so hopefully within the next month or two they'll finally don us as master instructors.
Very cool.
That. Awesome.
Very cool. I was at I went to one of my ranges today that I belong to, and I always check they have a bulletin board with all the things that are going on, and I took a look and I see the schedule and I see C Cook. I'm like, C Cook, there's another C Cook. And then I'm like, oh wait, that's me. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, oh, it's Matt's classes. It was the schedule. It was a schedule in June. I took a picture of it. I haven't sent it to you yet.
Look at Taser soon. Okay, Brian, good. Brian actually hosted me down in Georgia, Alma, Georgia, back in I don't know, how long ago was that, Brian? A couple months ago. Time flies. I had a student reach out to me the other day, like, hey, I got to take they go, well, what do I got to do to get a new certificate? I'm like, what do you mean? They go, well, it's gun show next weekend. Yes, David, I know. Syracuse gun show. Be there or be square. We're not going to do as big of a booth this year. Two tables instead of the 4 in the corner like we do. Just so much to set that up. But anyway, I digress. February. Brian says February. What was I saying again? Squirrel.
When you went up there and did the class down in Georgia.
Yeah, it was fun.
But before that, you were talking about something else.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm bouncing all over the place today. I got the pepper spray a group of cadets today in my academy, dude. You saw the video. What'd you think?
I did see the video. That is pretty cool. There's part of me that wants to do that. There's part of me that says, yeah, no.
Oh, hey, while I'm up there doing the class in June, I have no problem. We could do that.
Yeah, I'm sure you have no problem with it, of course.
Oh, sure.
I actually thought about doing this a couple years ago. I wanted to auction off the opportunity to pepper spray me and see if my ex-wife, how much she would be willing to bid to pepper spray me. Yeah.
Melvina, yes, California. I would love to come to California. Our middle daughter lives up in Washington State, and I got to get up there to next level training and do some training there too. So maybe we can I'll do a Washington State, California, and then my sister lives in California with all my nieces and nephews.
Very cool. Little West Coast tour.
For sure. Yeah, reach out to me. I'll actually be in Vegas area, Nevada, teaching in June. I think it's June. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's
nice.
June. Yeah, May or June.
Speaking of West Coast stuff, in June, I am heading to San Diego for the gun prom put on by the San Diego County gun owners. And the game plan is Petrolino and I are going with his family, and or I'm going with his family. He's going with his family. Anyway, they're turning it into a vacation, and I'm turning it into a work trip. So I'm trying to book some shows in San Diego, and I booked my flight into San Diego and out from San Francisco. I was hoping to hoping to get Chris Chang on the show and film a show in San Diego or San Francisco, excuse me. But he is going to be out of town. So if there's anyone that is in Northern California, an instructor, someone that's got an interesting story, please reach out to me at writingshotgunwithcharlie@gmail.com. And I need to film some people in San Francisco or Sacramento, somewhere in Northern California.
Definitely. Maybe we can make it an on the road live show.
Yeah. I'm driving from Akron, Ohio to Houston with Amanda Suffolk and Rob Campbell. We're going to the NRA show.
I'll be your monkey in the trunk.
I don't know if we're going to have space in the trunk.
Yeah, good point. So, Mrs. Denison.
Mrs. Denson.
Denson. I got to get
Denson.
Right.
Isn't her husband on here?
Yes, that's why she said some syrup, maple syrup. I just want to. What I want to do is I just want to see a reverse osmosis. I sent him a message, was like, "Hey, how'd you do that?" And he sent me the plans for it. So I'm excited. Like when I did maple syrup 10 years ago for the first time, the reverse osmosis, I don't think that was a thing back then, or at least the internet wasn't as much of a thing. So it probably was a thing. I just didn't know about it. And now it really purifies it and gets rid of a lot of the water and just leaves a lot of the actual syrup, the sap, to turn into syrup. Experienced.
Okay.
Yeah, David actually did experience the hot sauce. I think I was the one that sprayed David.
Ooh, mercy.
So,
Mark, hold on a second. Mark here wants to know if I saw the video with the range monkey.
I did not.
I did watch a little of it.
Did you?
I did. God bless Neil and his daughter, the range monkey.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Man.
So today we had five recruits that we pepper sprayed. The first 3 got Saber. The next one got Fox Foam, which sucked. It looked like a pie in the face. And he was like, "Oh, I got this." And he's former military, former law enforcement, so he's going through our academy now to do what we're doing. And he runs over to the mat and he starts pounding on it. And then you could hear in the video, he goes, "Oh!" And you could hear when it hit him, like it just sunk in and finally melted, and that foam turned into. And he was like, "Oh!" And then he was like, "Ah!" And you could just see the pain shift. And then the last one I did with a huge can, a huge like MK9 size can. And it was older. I shook it up and I blasted him, and he was talking purposefully got him talking while I hit him. So you could hear the gurgle of him swallowing the pepper spray. And yeah, he says everything from his lips to his throat to his stomach, all the way down to his balls are burning. Yeah.
Wait a second. It goes from his mouth to his balls? He's got some problem with his plumbing.
It was on the outside. Yes, we'll have videos. We took GoPro. We got GoPro. Rob O'Neill, one of my other instructors, had his camera out as well, and the GoPro. And then I had my big ass camera, my phone, that I took video on of each one. So it'll be good. We're gonna try to do a compilation of it and post it up. It's funny because one of the guys I trained in his church years ago I always make the joke, like, if you're late to my class, you're going to have to get pepper sprayed or tased. Who wants everybody to get pepper sprayed that's late? And, I kind of get a vote. And then when the person comes in late, I'll be like, "Hey, man, I hate to tell you, but we all voted, and the majority voted to tase you or pepper spray you, whatever it is." And so his wife was like, yeah, pepper spray. I want to see him get pepper sprayed. He told me today, he goes, "You're recording this, right?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, you remember the promise you made my wife?" I'm like, "No." And he goes,
"Help brother out."
Yeah, right. He goes, "You promised her that you'd videotape it when you pepper spray me." It's like, okay.
Wow.
So I did.
Someone asked about Aaron Paulette. I think it's with a P in A instead of an O. I actually interviewed Aaron in Dallas, Texas in 2017. And I want to say Aaron is in Florida instead of California. We're building another one next year. All right. They're making honey.
Honey. Right. Maple syrup.
Sorry.
They're both sweet. Just like you, Charlie.
Oh, stop. What does Mark say here? The whole thing, all 32 minutes of it, getting hit with POM. Oh my gosh. I did see the beginning of it, and the range monkey just kept her hands in her pocket, and she's like, okay. And then she's like, "Guide me into the room. I can't see anything." Making sure to crash into the wall. Yeah, his mouth was balls. He's a talented guy. It sounds like a YouPorn channel. Let's see. Mr. Anderson says, when I got gassed, I worked near the SO years back. They were doing training with the tear gas, and there was a big wind pop up and blew at us. They all apologized profusely. Hysterical, hilarious. Yeah, that's not good.
We can share video, or we can share the screen. So I think I'm going to send over one of the videos that we can show a quick snippet of the pepper spray of one of my recruits.
All right.
You got nothing but time, my friend.
Nothing but time.
I'm hoping Thomas is okay, because he said I'll be there. I'm on my way home, so I'm praying nothing happened.
Yeah, that would be bad.
It's funny, he lost all his contacts. I texted him and said, "Hey, we still good? Half an hour from now?" He goes,
"New phone. Who dis?"
Yeah. Who are you? What are you talking about? I was like,
You were talking about, you reached out to somebody and you were thinking about someone, they reached out to you. This happens more than once, obviously, but last week I was thinking about a friend of mine, and I sent her a text message. I'm like, "Hey, I'm just checking in, see how you're doing." And she's like, "You know what? I was just thinking about," she called me, left me a voicemail. She's like, "I was just thinking about you. Things happen for a reason, blah, blah, blah." And then she doesn't call me back. So I'm like, all right, well, there we go.
Makes you worry.
Things happen for the reason, so you can ignore me. I see how it is. All right. Yeah, I see. That'll be fine. That will be fine. Let's see what Mr. Guns and Barbecue says here. I didn't read this. When I worked at corrections, I had to get sprayed. I was fortunate enough to have a buddy of mine warn me to tilt my head back when it showered. So, and no ball burn. Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, we told him.
I think if it burns on the balls, then you probably got some bad aim. That's what I'm going with.
Well, it trickles down, because when you rinse it all off, the water runs down. So actually, the one I was saying that about, where he took the mouthful, he was standing up and spraying himself like this, so it was all running down him. So a little bit later, he's like, "It's starting to tingle down there. I thought you said that wasn't supposed to be until later when I take a shower at home." Like, well, yeah, you're supposed to lean into it so the water falls on the ground, not down you.
Yeah, right. That would be bad. Gravity's not just a good idea. It's the law. Oh my God! Did you? I thought you froze up for a second. Oh yeah, no, he's faking a freeze. All right, I see how it goes. That was a joke, Matt. It's not gravity. It's not just a good idea. It's the law.
So true. So true. All right, I'm downloading that video now.
All right. David says, a recent update splits Android text into personal and business. Too early to tell if it causes us any issues. I do not have an Android. I only have an Apple phone because my daughter convinced me 9 years ago. 9 years ago. I was going to Utah to get my Utah instructor certification, and my daughter was, 10, and she's like, "Well, Dad, what if I want to talk to you?" I'm like, "Well, you can call me sweetheart." And she's like, "What if I want to see you?" And I'm like, "You can look at one of my pictures." She's like, "Well, what if I want to FaceTime you?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I'll get an Apple. Shut up, leave me alone." Guns and Barbecue says, "I knew it was in California or Florida, but I also chose the wrong one again." Oof. Yeah, so I have an Apple phone. What are you gonna do?
All right, let me see if I can get this to work.
But the Friday before SHOT Show, I had I took my phone to a Geek Squad at a Best Buy to have them replace my battery, because I knew my battery was bad, and days at SHOT Show are 17, 18 hours long.
Right.
And you need your phone all day. You really do. So I was going to get a new battery. I went to go pick it up an hour and 20 minutes, and they're like, yeah, can we talk to you about your phone for a second? I'm like, yes. Not only, it was an iPhone 7. And they're like, so we opened up the phone and the battery exploded. And the phone's junk.
I thought they were going to say they found something that you shouldn't have on there.
I think I would be willing to accept that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, well, what do we do about this? He's like, well, we can get you a replacement phone. It should be here in maybe 4 or 5 days. I'm like, what do I do until then? He's like, well, don't you have an extra phone? I'm like, well, no, I don't.
Who has an extra phone? Well, I mean, I do. But,
I don't. Right.
But most people don't.
So he's like, well, you could get, a flip phone or something, something, kind of cheap and inexpensive, a burner phone. I'm like, I'm going to get a terrorist phone and I'm going to go to SHOT Show. Yeah, that's a good plan. That's a real good plan.
Your pimp phone.
Right.
Your drug dealer phone.
Right. For all my side women. Right.
All right.
So,
here, go ahead.
Yes. No, I ended up buying a 13. And, but the guy's like, well, we'll email you when the phone comes in. I'm like, I'm out of the house for probably 12 hours a day. And I don't carry my laptop with me and log in places to check my email. I use my phone for that.
Gun
so
websites
I ended up, gun websites hopped in. Good to see you, man. Oh, gun websites. Thank you for sharing the show with Toby and putting something on Instagram about that, man. I really appreciate that.
Nice.
All right, now I'm done talking. Play your vid.
All right. Can you? Oh, look at this. See, this is the first time I've shared the video. This is pretty cool.
Rock on.
Be careful sharing screen audio if you have a guest. They will hear themselves. Okay. Does that mean you got to be quiet, Charlie? All right, here we go. I think.
Definitely not 12 feet.
Pie in the face. Can you see it okay?
Yeah, it's choppy, but that's fine.
And he had a GoPro on. Rob O'Neill had a GoPro on, so we got it from the face view as well.
Next station.
He swore. Darn it. We couldn't cut that out. Now watch.
Put your hands up.
What you got?
A knife.
What are you gonna do?
He just rips the knife back.
Cuff him.
Cuff him. You just watch him. Just
What you got?
Oh.
I did learn cuffing, by the way.
Oh. Anyway, it was a fun day. It definitely was a fun day.
Right. Oh my gosh. Is this what we're going to be doing at the pepper spray class in June?
No.
Woo. Damn.
Next station.
Yeah. And then he's got an ID, or he's got he's quiz.
Something. Wrong.
What the fuck is
Wrong.
be quiet?
Yeah. So anyway, it was, and then after that, if he got the question right, he was able to go and clean himself up, decon. All right. So how do I get
Man, oh man. Defense Dad says, wait, who doesn't always have a burner phone on them? I don't. I remember when the burner phones came out, I used to tell my outlaw mother that I'm like, these are terrorist phones. What do you need a terrorist phone for? Why are you having some pay-as-you-go flip phone? That's crazy talk. Gun website says a pro move would have been to dive into the tactical roll and splash your face off in one of the puddles mid-roll.
So it's funny you say that, because where we set up the decon station, the washdown area, right on the other side of that was like a little wash bay, and it was full of water. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Love outlaw mother, Jeff.
The outlaw mother. Yeah. Hey, she's not my in-law. She's my outlaw.
Outlaw. That's
the
awesome.
outlaw mother. Right. Yeah. She's carrying a couple of 6 guns around, right, on her hips.
Goodness gracious.
Got spurs on her boots. Oh my gosh. The outlaws are a couple of big anti-gun folk. I'm using the term folk loosely.
So we get to tase him after the academy. We're doing taser on first weekend in July, Sunday in July 3rd.
Nice.
I think it is.
Cool. So GWeb says, is the course for all? Is that a course where all LEO have to are required to take, or is it something extra? So they have to get tased, right?
Yeah. Well,
we're sprayed.
Right. For pepper spray, they have to get pepper sprayed. It's mandatory for DCGS, New York State, for law enforcement. So we run them through that. Some will do a less invasive, where they'll just have you dip it and run it under your eye, or walk into a fog of pepper spray that's been sprayed in the air, or into a closed environment. But yeah, I don't play with that. Some were like, well, you're going to have them with their eyes closed or out. No, I had them talking. We were asking them questions. Who is the president of the United States? One person said Trump. You know, I mean, and while they're talking, unbeknownst to them, is when we spray them. That's how they take full mouthfuls and eyefuls.
Oof. Your eyes are burning and you're all wet. Yeah.
And in the cold, because today it was snowing outside.
Oh my! What are you in Chicago?
A little bit of white dust on the ground.
Right. All right, what does GWeb say here? GWeb says, very cool. That has to be so much more effective than guessing what might happen the first time you use it.
Exactly why we do it. Exactly why we do it.
DJ Playlight says, snow?
Yeah, I live in the north.
Yeah. What else?
I
think you should. I've been considering a move. I tell myself once I get my life together, I can treat myself to a move, and then I say, well, if I move, don't I have to put my life together again? So yeah,
just getting another car is stressful enough.
Oh my gosh!
You know, like I said that to myself. It's like I was saying that today. It's like every few years, I get a new phone and I get a new car. I definitely don't want to get a new house or a new wife. Like those would be the big ones that would be a pain in the ass. It's bad enough phone and car every few years.
David says even the president knows who the president is.
Touche.
That is true.
That is the quote of the night.
Oh, that is. Did you see the video of Biden turning and shaking no one's hand, and he just kind of stood there?
No.
Yeah, he did a speech I think it was in Texas, and he went to go turn the thank someone, and he stood there with his hand out, and nobody was there. Jeff says a good chance for some splashback. Nice to know. Nice to be able to know what to expect with pepper spray.
Yeah, the first three got it. They took a while. One of the guys we thought we were gonna have to he was gonna pass out. His face was beet red. But he had high blood pressure, so that probably added to it. Capillaries in his face were on fire.
Sure. Yeah, that would not be good. That would not be good.
Sandhills Media.
Sandhills Media's just tuned in. What is happening, sir? I heard he just got off a Facebook jail. Glad I said Facebook jail.
I have never been in Facebook jail. Now that I say that, right? Never been in Facebook jail, and I don't know what it is. Maybe they're afraid of me. I don't know. I'm just.
Maybe you need to push it a little bit more. You need to pull the salt and pepper and push it. Push it real good.
Well, I did a little bit of pepper today.
Oh, nice.
Actually, a lot of pepper.
A lot of pepper.
Yeah, we went out to dinner right after, and I was like, damn it.
Oh no.
Yeah, just a little, just because I washed my hands really well, but it's still in your pores. So it's like, I can literally smell pepper right now.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Ooh, baby from Sandhills. Right.
My little white boy swagger.
And F book is the devil.
It
Indeed.
is. I call it fake book. Fake book.
Mm.
Watch me get banned now for saying that. How dare you talk bad about?
How dare you talk about that? How you can't fact check fact checkers.
So we got 7 minutes left. We should pick our winner, Charlie.
We should. Has anyone emailed? That's your duty. That's your business.
We didn't even do it. How do you want to handle it this time?
I don't know.
Want to postpone it for next week?
I think we should actually. Yes,
let's Tuesday.
Let's postpone it for next week. I wrote it down. Here's my show notes. Amanda and Alan West. That's all I got.
Lieutenant Colonel Alan West being opened up by. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Amanda Suffolk. That didn't come out right.
Let's try that again.
Amanda's on Tuesday. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West is on Thursday. We got two shows next week. Two shows. I was telling someone, I'm like, I said, I've been doing this weekly show with Matt, and it's been going really well, and people dig it, and we've got these great things to give away, and it's been really cool. It's been really wonderful. And we decided to tune it down a little bit. We're going to go, we thought about doing it twice a month, so we're doing 3 this week. Well, 2 actually, but still, yeah.
It's right. Well,
and then we'll skip a week, and then we'll do 1, and we'll do 1 every other week going forward.
After
and So this Tuesday with Amanda, we'll give away a Mantis X10, $250 value.
Boom.
Right. And then
Voila.
starting with Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, a new sponsor that just signed on, Next Level Training. So
Nice.
the winner for that will get a, let me see if I can do it this way. I hate doing this to you, Charlie.
Ow, my eyes, I'm blind.
A CERT, shot indicating resetting trigger, CERT from Next Level
Nice.
Training. The guys at Next Level Training. I just feel so wrong like doing that right there. It's just,
So I know if I get banned again, it's you.
it's a fake gun. It's not even real.
I don't know.
So if they demonetize us or something like that,
They can't demonetize us when we're not monetized.
that's a good point. So
Right.
not yet, but all those fine listeners and viewers out there, go ahead and like, subscribe, share, click that little bell thingy for
Share
both
with
of
all
our
of their
shows.
people. Absolutely.
Yes.
This is the third time I'm putting it up here. Steve wants to know what time next week. Tuesday, April 19th, 8 o'clock Eastern, is Amanda Suffolcool from Eye on the Target Radio from the DC Project, from the Realize FAC Firearm Coalition, Firearm Awareness Coalition. We're having Amanda on not just because she's an amazing woman. She, not because she's my conscience and pusher. She really is. She'll call me up and you know, I won't talk to her for like a week and a half, and she'll call me up and she's like, all right, what are you doing? What do you have going on? I'm like, I'm trying to work on this. She's like, stop trying, get to work, click, and then hangs up on me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So
I love that.
yeah, she's awesome. So we're going to be talking about her because she is hosting the Concealed Carry Fashion Show at the NRA annual meetings in Houston.
And I wish I
And
could
we
be there.
we will not have a problem for that. So yeah, I'm in order to being a tactically frugal person, I'm driving on a Wednesday. I'm driving from Massachusetts to Ohio. I'm hopping in the car with Rob and Amanda, and we're driving from Ohio to Houston. I'm driving 9 hours to Ohio and then 19 hours to Houston with Rob and Amanda. So that is going to be a crazy road trip. But we're going to be at the NRA annual meetings in Houston at the end of May. Anyway, so that's Tuesday, April 19th. And then Thursday, April 21st is going to be Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. And that's going to be pretty amazing.
Yes, I'm excited.
That is going to be really cool. Back to the social media stuff here. G-Web says he walked away from 11,000 people on Facebook to pursue YouTube, and he's got 175,000 on YouTube.
It's awesome.
When he did reviews, that is pretty amazing.
Yes.
Looking forward to both. Awesome. Thank you, DJ Play Nice. We'll see you next week.
Appreciate that.
And CNT says, until there are real changes in the way social media is operated, the left will maintain the means to control the narrative. They will. They will until, I hate saying until forever, but yeah, we gotta say what we need to say. Like, freedom needs to reign, and whether it's our First Amendment or Second Amendment or any of the other rights, we need to keep this stuff, man. The anti-gun folks want to take our rights, and they do it the salami method. The salami method is going after bump stocks and then going after the what is it? The forced trigger reset.
Yeah,
The FRTs, going after those, and then going after I live in occupied territory. You do too. It's going after high cap magazines. Well, you can't have an assault weapon. Your assault weapon can only have one evil feature. You can't have a ghost gun.
Right. I was just talking about that locally. It's ridiculous. Like, they're using those terms just to push their agenda. To push their agenda. It has not taking it away from good legal law-abiding citizens, people that want to do just to defend themselves under the false premise that it's to keep it out of bad people's hands.
Mm. And I will say this: I ran into a friend of mine that's a defense attorney at the gas station today, and I told him he should be on. I need to get him on the show. He's talking about all sorts of stupid things that people do when they're new gun owners, and he said a lot of people have the magnets that they keep underneath the steering wheel and underneath the steering column, and he said one guy there was a road rage incident, and a guy looked at somebody and gave him the whole right. I'm gonna slice your neck, cut your head off, kind of a thing. So the guy grabbed this gun, which didn't have a magazine in it and had no ammunition. Got out of his car, took that gun off the magnet, and held it. And when the cops finally came, he had a talk with them, and he's like, "Look, I wasn't going to do anything with the gun. The gun wasn't loaded." So he had to sit down with the dude and say, "Listen, you go down the things that were wrong, and this is a checklist of all of them." So,
yeah.
Anyway, I'm hoping to get him on the show sometime. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right. Anyway, we need to go. It is 9. Yes.
I got a message from Thomas. He was driving home, and time zones is what got us tonight.
Oh no!
He's typing right now a response to me asking him, and I don't know what your schedule looks like, but not sure if he wants to at least pop on and make a howdy for
make an appearance.
Still got a few people watching,
we still got some people here.
What do all the viewers out there want? Are we done for the night, or anybody else want to hang around? I'm still waiting to see if he's able, but I'm assuming he is because he just drove home from work. He's out in Arizona.
That's where they don't have a time zone, right?
I don't think so.
They don't do the
daylight savings.
Yeah, they don't do the daylight savings. All right, we got one. Go for it. We got one. What's up, Matt?
Hey, Josh. That's awesome. I was just out there in Ohio with Josh recently.
Nice. C&T is here. He's special. He is special. It's a good thing he's not Ed. Get it? He'd be special Ed.
I got that. I was a little slow.
I got a fast-paced show here. Steve's hanging. So,
I
love this.
Josh was North Carolina. I messed that up. Sorry, Josh.
Yeah, I love this. Dave's working, so he's more than willing to watch.
I'm all over the place. I forget where the heck
Mr.
I am.
Anderson, these time zones. We live 15 minutes from Eastern time zone, and it's the same thing. Same thing when you travel east. Yeah, it's a little nuts. The Dentons say that they will wait. The Denstons. Sorry, we're never going to get this right.
I know. I'm going to mess it up. I'll have to just get some of their sweet maple syrup, and that might help me straighten out my tongue with saying their name.
There we go. Yeah, that'll help.
Ken's listening.
Ken's tuned in. Very cool.
So while I wait for Thomas to pop up, he has the link, so hopefully he'll pop on, but he's still typing, so I hope he's not doing that while he's driving. Oh, there, look, there he is. Oh, I see a faded image of Mr. Yoxall. Hey, there he is.
Okay, so I'm going to have to get a clock that's set to your guys' specific time zone because I was completely confused.
That's all right. I'm confused too.
Oh, man.
That's all right. I usually send the email out, and then when you said you didn't get it, I'm like, wait, did I not send it out? I was behind because this is the first Saturday show that we've done.
Okay.
And usually it's during the week, so I have a little bit more time during the week, but the weekends are always crazy for me. So then, like, Friday night, I'm like, wait, I didn't even post this yet. So I posted it up, and then I totally blew my mind to send you the email. And usually in that, it says, like, New York time, Massachusetts time, Eastern time.
Yeah, and so that's why when you were saying, the time difference and everything, in my head, I'm like, okay, 2 hours get home at 6 o'clock, and that 2 hour, it should be okay. I should be getting home just as I need to be logging in. And so, yeah, I was completely confused.
That's all right. Steve says, welcome to the party.
Right. C&T says we live in the state of confusion.
Yeah.
What's the time zone there?
So ours never changes. We're just Arizona time. So we don't spring forward or fall backwards.
You're the real time.
Yeah.
Isn't that what they're talking about? Like getting rid of the daylight savings time and all the other.
They were for a brief moment. And here's my thing is, like, for whatever reason, it became urgent again. We need to get rid of daylight savings time and, let's do this bipartisanship bill. And I'm like, isn't there more important things to worry about than having a spring forward, fall backwards? And if you guys can get that thing pushed through in a record amount of time, why can't you do anything else? Why are we so polarized?
Right.
So,
exactly. Why can't you get something else done?
Right.
Exactly.
So, man, I didn't even have a chance to make my cup of coffee. Like, I'm sitting there, I got home and thinking in my head that we're not going to log on for a little bit longer. And so I'm making a cup of coffee and checking the mail and shit. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
I got to be honest. I was worried something happened. I'm like, Juicy's not responding. I hope he didn't get in an accident. I was like, goodness, I was worried.
No. And a lot of times, so our freeway system here is in a perpetual state of construction. And the last
That's everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
and here in Arizona, it seems to have upticked. Typically, I take on Saturdays, I'm able to take the freeway not only to work, but home from work. I work at a local part-time at a local camera shop.
Mhm.
The last 2 Saturdays, the route that I would take has been blocked going both ways. So I get no love there or back. I still have to take surface streets. So it's just a pain in the butt.
Definitely. And now you still live in the same area that the incident happened, or at least where you're traveling from back in the day? That brought you to
I'm still
stardom?
in the same house. I've been in the same house for the last 12 years, but the shooting
Awesome.
actually happened at mile marker 89 west going towards Los Angeles. So I actually don't, unless I was going to Los Angeles or Quartzsite or someplace out that way, I don't have to drive by it or anything.
That's good. That's good. Do you still flashbacks or anything like that? You think that would be, or at least reminiscing?
It depends. I tell people that some days it's right on my doorstep, and other days it seems like another lifetime. In that regard, if it's 0 dark 30 and I'm driving on any freeway and I pass law enforcement that's in the process of making a stop, lights on and everything, it's really quick back to that morning. Last Thursday was the first ride along I've been able to do since COVID happened, and they stopped doing civilian ride alongs. DPS was like, "Hey, you can go ahead and ride with us again. We'd love to have you for that 1 hour." Man, that first traffic stop, my heart was pounding just because it's those little things sometimes will take you back there. But as I've said before on your show and other people I've spoken to, it's really important to have, for not just me, but for anybody who has been through a situation like that, especially our first responders, law enforcement, military, that we receive quality treatment and therapy and have a good source of security. We could talk to, we could speak to people. We know we're not going to be judged. We know it's not going to be, held against us, which still, even though law enforcement, the upper command says, "Hey, if you have an issue, come to us, it'll be okay." Not so much. That's not what you hear from the people that are really going through it. So it's really important for those quality services to be there for everybody to easily access, because that's what helps. That's what helps us manage those situations when they come back up.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I just implemented today for the academy that I'm the director of, a class counselor / mentor, because there's grumblings within the recruits, like, why are they making us do this and that and that and this, and at some point they bring it up the chain of command, or they skip the chain of command. There is some punishment that happens with that because they're not using the correct chain of command. So I implemented somebody outside the chain of command that they can go to and whine to, and they can tell them to shut up and quit whining without any kind of retribution.
Right.
And then that person can come to me and say, "Hey, this is going on. There is a real issue. You probably need to look into or address." So just kind of like just a sounding board for them, so they feel like they're being listened to, and somebody they can reason with and tell them how it is without feeling like they're just being dismissed.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I think when you're on my show before, I think I might have said it. And when you said this a few minutes ago, as far as the lights and just driving and seeing those lights, it never really goes away. It gets better with time, but it's always there. It's kind of like Groundhog Day, or that favorite song, Baby Shark. Baby.
Right.
There you go, everybody. You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then as far as those different types of things, and I guess for me, for the everyday thing where I hear people talk about being triggered or something along those lines, and it's a word that's grossly misused these days, I feel, just like a lot of our words that used to have a poignant meaning, and now it's so watered down and diluted. Why bother? Anything that's auditory, smell. I mean, sometimes I'm on the range and I could do, a half day's worth of training and not have an issue, but another morning, the gunpowder smells a different way, and all of a sudden, dude, I'm right back there again. So, and again, these are all things we learn to manage over a period of time.
And I was going to ask that, what kind of things, because I think that'd be valuable. What have you found ways to manage if you care to share, because we all have ways to deal with things. I grew up with
Right.
ADHD and OCD and all that. So, hitting a punching bag was one way to get my anger and frustration out without taking it out on somebody else. So what kind of things have you done to be able to cope with it? It's all, these years?
Well, my photography has been a blessing. I mean, being able to be out there on the street and hear somebody else's story and empathetically be able to relay that story to others, to the masses, the people that follow me, being able to capture an image that really quantifies that singular moment in time has been a blessing, a huge blessing. Having the great support system with men and women of law enforcement who have had similar situations, who have reached out to me when I've posted, hey, you're okay. It's okay to feel this way. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken.
Right.
And here's, places you can go to get help. And if you can't call them, call me or message me or whatever. I'll be here to listen as well. So when you start to develop that support system with people that have shared a similar experience, and then they really realize that, allowing themselves to be vulnerable is a true act of bravery and courageousness, courage, it becomes easier. And credit where credit is due. I had a lot of great people here locally. I say time and time again, James Dirtbird with Phoenix PD, Jeff Smith with Phoenix PD, Doug Hildebrandt was with DPS and now with El Mirage PD. I had a lot of great people that reached out and trusted enough to share with me their experience. And in doing so, it allowed me to be able to share mine more openly. So I think that's really where it starts is community. We need to, as a community of like-minded individuals and sharing the same profession or, willingness to assist in that profession, we have to be there for one another. It really starts with us. For
sure. The interview when you were on our show, I every once in a while I'll send you a message and say, hey, we just got a huge bump. One of the really good viewed video, lots of comments on it, which is awesome. And I use your story and obviously refer back to the interview with you on Meet the Pressers, because it's so pivotal when you talk to people and you tell them about, there's the criminal aspect, there's the civil aspect of it, there's the jury of public opinion. I'm sure there's still people out there today that say, you shouldn't have been there, you're a vigilante civilian, and even besides that, a lot of people don't take into account the mental aspect of it and how something like that, can change your life. And mentally, it's a big mental stress. And you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I remember you saying that you would have done it again because, that's in your nature.
Yeah. And really, I remember that interview, and I'm not sure if we talk about the archetype. I think everybody's kind of born with that. If we're going philosophically with Carl Jung, we all have an archetype. Some of us are teachers, healers, sages, warriors, defenders. I think defender and warrior go hand in hand. I really think it shares a very close cosmetic duality as far as that goes. I don't know any other way to be than see someone being victimized. I'm going to respond. I'm going to do something to try to put a very quick end to that victimization. Other people, that's maybe not who they are. And I try to keep that in mind. I never want to assume or be forced to be at a level of expectation that's not them. Stop, make a phone call, give pointed information. Don't pull out your phone and do a video that you're going to post on social media. There's other ways you can be a person of assistance, and that's okay. We couldn't all be neurosurgeons. Not all of us were right wingers for the Rangers, or the Edmonton Oilers. And so we just have to be comfortable in the roles that we know we're qualified to do, roles that we were meant to do. And I think everybody would be a lot happier, and things would be a lot different if we could just do that.
Well, we have one viewer here. She said that it's your photography is striking. So your photography has appealed to her. So that's awesome. That's good. And to me, some of the stuff I didn't realize. Isn't there a group Visit Arizona? Was it?
Get Out Arizona. So
Get Out Arizona. Yes, I saw that. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So during COVID, and Arizona being my home state, and I love it, and I feel everybody should kind of get out and explore and really see things in their backyards. I think too many people don't realize how beautiful their own home state can be. And so I started posting on Instagram, And then that just kind of morphed into a YouTube channel. And now we have a really good following, and it's just been growing. And we do like adventures. Last night we were at Watson Lake in Prescott doing a full moon hike and photography session that we did a video with.
Wow,
We do DIY on how to fix your mountain bike, road bike, different things like that. We do
remember seeing
reviews
that.
on
Seeing
and
one of those,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's to inspire people. I mean, there's a time and a place to, watch the Star Wars trilogy. And then there's a time and a place to friggin' throw some gear in the back of your truck or your car and go out for a hike or a bike or just even a walk, a simple walk. It does a world of good. And that's what we try to do. We try to inspire people every day, just like I try to inspire people with my personal photography. I try to inspire people with the Get Out Arizona as well.
There's a place in upstate New York in the Adirondacks called the Saranac Six, and it's basically the 6 highest peaks around Saranac Lake.
Oh, nice.
And we went up there on one of our anniversaries, our wedding anniversaries. And we get up there and we hiked, I think, one of the hills. And I came back. I'm like, why don't we have anything like this in upstate New York? In New York's up Syracuse area. So I created one called the CNY Sixers, which was like, and I think I upped it to the CNY Niners, and it was like the top highest hills because there's really no mountain peaks in central New York, just in the Adirondacks, and also the top 3 or 4 waterfalls in the area. So instead of so you can still go to the waterfalls, see the waterfalls. Right. So it was kind of a little bit a different tilt, but to try to get people out and to go to these locations because they're pretty
absolutely
neat.
I'm actually going to be in Buffalo in September for the Tour de Force. It'll be the 6th year that I'm covering the Tour de Force. Cool. And this will be the first year that we haven't traveled. They're planning 5 loop rides around the Buffalo area. So I'm really excited to once again be a part of that, and 2, to see that entire upstate New York area. It's been so long. I used to go to Westmoreland when I was a kid because I have family up in that area. Yeah. Westmoreland, Rome, Utica. So I'm familiar with that area. So it's been a while. So it's going to be fun. I love to travel. I love to meet new people, share my story, hear other people's stories and everything. That's again, I keep going back to the fact that I feel blessed that in the second half of my life, I'm able to do something that I'm so in love with. So,
amen. That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah.
Are you gonna be going to Westmoreland when you come up?
No, I won't be able to. Just because I'm going to be there for the tour. Yep. So I'll arrive 2 days before the guys and gals show up and start riding, and then I'll probably stay 2 days after. I'd like to go around Buffalo a little bit and meet some people within Buffalo and do some photography within the city and everything. Although I am going to be in Washington, D.C. again for Police Week, and this will be the 6th year that I've covered Police Week in May. So if any of your listeners or you guys are going to be in D.C. for Police Week or during that time, reach out to me, my Facebook, Thomas Yoxall. I know some people have reached out to me at Sure Shot Photography, but if you just simply look me up as Thomas Yoxall and message me, even as much social media as I do, I have to remember sometimes to look at the new message requests. Yeah. And like every once in a while, there'll be like 5 or 6 stacked up. And then it's like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry it took so long to get back to you. But it's going to be great. I'm honored again to be there for the men and women of law enforcement. Every year I go, I put the word out that I'm going to be traveling there and give law enforcement an opportunity. Every year, a lot of people go, hey, can you visit this marker? Hey, can you visit this spot for me? And gosh, and for me, they're trusting me to do that for them. But again, it just feels great to be able to do that for people and to broadcast from the memorial. And of course, to ride with DC Metro and hang out with, the Virginia Stradies that I know and everything. It's a beautiful experience. And so I'm glad this year that the COVID restrictions have been released, and they can properly now honor the men and women in blue who've, made that sacrifice, for their community and for their states and for their country, in my opinion.
I did, it's nothing close to like, the stuff that you guys are doing, but I did the Citizens Police Academy in my town a bunch of years ago. And it was, it was nothing like the movies.
It's not like the movies. Even the Citizens ones are not like the movies.
And no, they're really not. And we went to go to the police station, you go to the basement, and somebody comes in and talks about different aspects of what it's like being a police officer and the stuff they do at the police station. And it was we got to to not to pass the class or reward or anything like this, but you get to go out for 2 hours and do a ride along with the police. I'm like, that's pretty cool, man. So they like gave me a vest, and I didn't tell them, but I carried a gun on my ankle because that's how I roll, And even in the little rinky-dink town that I live in New England, there's a bunch of stuff going on.
Oh yeah, you'd be surprised.
Like we went and knocked on the door, and I'm like, well, why are we going to this guy's house and knocking on the door? He's like, yeah, this guy's got an arrest warrant, and people see him around town, so we just go to his house to see if he's there. Like, we've seen him out and about. We try to chase him down, and he disappears. I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah.
And he's like, there was whatever. Somebody tried climbing a fence to get their car out of Hawk from the tow truck place. And I'm like, holy moly, man, this is going on in my town. I have no idea.
It's crazy. I've said it before. Where even with the traditional media, they'll ride with an agency, and they may ride for 2-4 hours, but typically it's not necessarily involved unless circumstances happen and a carjacking happens right in front of it. It's very uneventful. Where I have had several hundred hours worth of ride-alongs with law enforcement. So for me, I've seen that 10, 12-hour tour where it was, pulling people over, you're speeding, slow down, that type of thing, that community interaction. I've been the multi-vehicle collisions. I've done canine SWAT. I've photographed, door kicking on drug houses and everything. I've really seen what these men and women go through on a daily basis. And so from that aspect of a civilian, again, it hurts me when there's a negative light shade cast upon, the various departments, and people don't truly realize what they do. Now, I also do have an expectation of my brothers and sisters in blue, to uphold that integrity of the badge for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But by and large, their actions and what they do on a daily basis are nothing short of miraculous or incredible. They have to keep it wired tight every single day. And that's something that people don't see. They don't want to see it. It goes kind of the thing. Hey, as long as everything's going good, I don't care how it's doing until something bad happens. And then they tend to overreact. So I think it's important for people to tell those stories. And again, I'm glad I'm able to. I know in a couple of weeks, I'll be with El Mirage and Glendale Canine, watching their dogs go through the additional training and everything. I'll be able to photograph that and tell those stories about the dogs, the handlers. This Sunday, I'll be with DPS again, doing DUI task force. So it's great because collectively the agencies around the valley are going to be, making sure our streets are safe to drive, and trying to do as much as they possibly can. So it's all great. And I enjoy it, and I always tell departments, when I travel, let me know. But law enforcement is the only work I do pro bono. Everybody else has got to pay. But if you're law enforcement, I'll make sure you guys look good and I won't charge you a penny.
So a few people have said that they've been to the Citizens Academy, the Denson. I say that right this time, Charlie?
The Densons. I think we say it right every time, but I'm never sure.
Right.
And the fact that they're both on here, the husband and wife, it really messes me up.
Double the pleasure. But
right.
So the Citizen Academy is a great way for somebody to kind of see at least some of the things that law enforcement have to go through. And then the ride-alongs is another great thing to see. And it's different too. And you can attest to this, Thomas, when you go to sheriff's department versus a city, right? Or SWAT. Right. Or canine. There's so many different dynamics with that. You've got community policing. You've got some that have detective departments, some that don't. They do their own, investigations and stuff. So having ride-alongs with different agencies, from the sheriff, county to state state troopers, it's going to be a vastly different type of policing based on the demographics and the people involved. But average citizens can do that to kind of get an idea. So if there's anybody out there that says, "Why'd the cops do that?" Okay, go take a ride-along. Go see how that goes, because I got to tell you right now, being in law enforcement for all the years I have been in, doing in service for law enforcement, teaching at academies, and now being the director of an academy and a chief of a town, there's a lot of dynamics. And just like you said, Thomas, men and women are putting their lives on the line daily to keep citizens safe. and they got to make split-second decisions. And those decisions, if they make the wrong decision, they could get shot and killed. And
Right.
or vice versa, if they make the too quick of a decision, then they could shoot an innocent person. So it's a very slippery slope either way, as far as, that decision-making process. And you wonder, well, why did the cops shoot him that many times? They only had a knife, or they had a baseball bat.
Right.
Just like the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff. Well, he just had a skateboard.
Right.
People are second guessing stuff way too much. Keyboard commandos, back, armchair quarterbacks, backseat driver kind of stuff.
Right. And for a lot of people, their purview, what they see is definitely based in, fiction generated by Hollywood or TV shows.
Oh my God. How many different versions of CSI do we have?
Right. Right.
Right. I think we can figure this out in an hour. Probably.
Probably. Yeah. You guys are awesome that way. And so when they see something that contradicts that, as fictitious as those things may be, that's still what their reality is. Just like, and again, we see this in traditional media where, a narrative is pushed one way or the other. But if this is what you're constantly being shown, this is what your reality is going to be, unfortunately. And so when that is challenged, people tend to react. And even for that morning definitely changed my life. But before that morning, I had trained with law enforcement, military, range masters. I had a wealth of training. I was exposed to this. So I knew. Tiberius. Sorry, my dog. He's waiting for me to play with him. He's like, come on, Dad.
He wants some coffee too.
Yeah, no, he definitely does. So even having all this training and all this vast experience to fall back on at that moment, which again, you're not training to win, you're training to improve your odds of a positive outcome, a good outcome. Man, that was nothing like my training. And I'm talking, I did door kick training. I mean, and to get out of my Tacoma in fast and 360-degree theater that you have to manage, so many things had to be controlled and maintained in seconds. And again, if you haven't, I get goosebumps even still talking about it. If you haven't experienced that for yourself, you can't rightfully sit in a place of judgment and others, who, again, we want them to do the worst job sometimes with the worst people, because not everybody we encounter, all the ride-alongs that I've done, I would have to say 95% of them have been positive. Like, seriously, we're meeting peaceful. Hey, I'm sorry, you're right, I was speeding. Oh, yeah, my tail light's out. Whatever the case may be, they're super polite. They're great interactions. But that 5% are the worst of the worst. And we expect these men and women to do that day in, day out for the worst pay. You certainly don't become a law enforcement professional to get rich.
Nope.
You are second guessed. Lord forbid you have to use lethal force, even a taser, anything along those lines. And now you have people thinking the absolute worst about you. And again, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because these men and women, a majority of them, they want to protect their community. They want to serve their community. They want to help people within their community to be successful and prosperous. And I just don't feel that they're treated correctly, properly in their most, desperate time of need, and that's when they have to respond, and it's hard. It's hard for me to see.
And we're seeing now with, defund the police and bail reform in a lot of states, New York specifically, law enforcement are getting out by the droves. I mean, this academy that I'm putting on now, we're putting it on because we're so short-staffed in so many towns across upstate New York that if we didn't put it on, we'd have to shut it down. And then we wouldn't have park patrols. We wouldn't have court officers. We wouldn't have these officers being able to protect these towns and the activities in the towns because we wouldn't have enough staff. And then now we got the state saying you got to have constables, you got to have peace officers in these towns. Well, how do we do that if we don't have people that want to do the job? When I put an academy together about 5 years ago ish, I had 29 or 30 candidates. 29 or 30 candidates ready to go through the academy. We got 6. Well, I should say we got 8. We ended up having 6 towns that needed it. 6.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a drastic shift in policing from then to now just because of all the stuff that's going on. People don't want to do the job. And the people that do want to do the job, probably shouldn't be doing the job, and it's just going to get worse.
Right. And I agree with that. When you are not able to retain quality personnel, and this is with any profession, mind
True.
you, when you're not able to have that type of retention, now you have to start, okay, we're going to lower our standards just a little bit so we can fill the gaps. And that's when you're going to run into even more problems. Are you
sure.
going, have a second-rate surgeon or general medicine doctor, trauma surgeon, doctor, nurse, all these people, they're rigorously trained to do a specific thing. Well, again, we saw that a lot of them weren't being taken care of, and they're going to leave. So what are we going to do? Lower our standards for the medical profession just to get bodies out there to help? This is where more mistakes will be made, and unfortunately more lives will be lost. So they really need to take a look. And although not all cities are still on the defund police, you still have several major cities that I think are along that thought process, but they've realized very quickly, okay, we made a mistake. We're going to walk this back as quickly as possible, as quietly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think over the next 2 to 3 years, even the larger ones, New York, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, let's call them for what they are, they're going to come back. That pendulum's going to swing back, and they're like, yeah, no, we need to have an effective law enforcement body till we can maintain and uphold the laws of our state or our city, however you want to look at that as far as different ordinances go.
They won't have any choice. They won't have a choice, because if they don't do it, well, I mean, that pendulum that you speak about, when it swings back the other way, that swinging back the other way is going to be the citizens being hurt, dying, calling the police. I'm sorry, we don't. Right, and then that's going to come back to the politicians. Well,
right.
Why did you do this? Because that's why we're short-staffed in law enforcement, or the quality's not there. Well, we got to get this person out, and then they get hopefully a new politician in that actually says, well, that's idiotic. We need to do what we did before. That worked.
Right.
So yeah, that pendulum. Unfortunately, people are going to get hurt and die before that pendulum fully swings the other way, where we can right the wrong that's been done over the past handful of years.
And it is unfortunate that will happen. And I think what we need to realize too, as civilians, one, exercise your right to vote. Two, we need to be able to come together and have productive dialogue. Whether I agree with your opinion, you disagree with mine, however that takes place, we need to be able to, in a civil, articulate manner, have a discussion. And we need to realize what needs to change instead of putting Band-Aids, not just with law enforcement, just with anything in general. We are a society of Band-Aids, and we don't want to address major issues, even though we know how to fix them. It's unpopular to discuss that, and it needs to stop. I'm 49 years old, and I remember a time where critical discussion was encouraged. We read the newspaper. We had meaningful conversation and dialogue with people who specifically disagreed with us, so we could learn about that and figure out, because I always say when we start talking about our differences, we realize our similarities as well. And it's through this catharsis that we're able to get things done. And with law enforcement, there's a lot of different dynamics. It's not just quality people, it's giving them quality training. True. Because after they go through the academy, what is it? A yearly qualification?
Yearly or twice a year, depending on the agency.
But other than that, what else is there? I have more training than most law enforcement professionals as a civilian, and it shouldn't be that way. They should come first. So there's a lot of different things that we have going on there, a lot of moving parts. But again, the unpopular positions and opinions are no longer discussed. And this is why we have a state of stagnation within our country, not just with the law enforcement, but with a lot of different things. I mean, you can pick your major topic, and that's why we have a state of stagnation and headbutting.
For sure. Yeah, you made a good point earlier as far as the pay. People don't get in law enforcement for the pay.
No.
Well, when they mandate training, once a year qualification or once a year annual training at minimum, usually it's once or twice a year. Anything more than that, they don't pay extra for that. I mean, I've had lots and lots of the classes where I've hosted people here locally or that I've taught where I've had law enforcement take the class. There's very few where their agency pays for it. The agency might give them ammo, which is awesome.
Right.
especially nowadays.
Right.
But typically it's on their own time, their own vacation time, or their own days off,
Right.
and they have to pay for the course themselves out of pocket. And
Right.
I commend any officer that does that, because that's above and beyond. And they know that the training that they get isn't enough, and rightfully so. In some cases, it's not even good training, depending on if they're not keeping up with the times. And I hate saying that about the law enforcement, but I've been all over the country training with law enforcement and law enforcement training, and there is some stuff that's still being taught today that's like
yeah. Well, and there's always going to be that evolution. I mean, we use the term progression, but it evolves, and we learn from analyzing past experiences and what we now need to do to improve and evolve from there, so we can have a larger percentage of positive outcomes. No loss of life, being able to de-escalate, no physical confrontations, nobody being hurt. I'm not talking just law enforcement. I'm talking even the suspect itself. This isn't why we do, or I should stop saying we, I'm not law enforcement, but this is not why they do what they do. They do it because, again, they've heard a calling, they've answered that calling to be a person in the community who is going to uphold, and have an equitable administration of the laws that are put in place. The courts deal out the justice. Law enforcement, that's a different end, and they're there to enforce equitably that thing. It's funny because we talk about law enforcement and everything. I know a bunch of educators, and very similar. You don't become a teacher because you want to get rich. You become a teacher because you truly want to educate, not teach, but educate children. And when I was able to do the work for the Department of Education, it was amazing because I was able to advocate for such a vulnerable population, the pre-K and kindergarten segment of our education system. But you get these teachers who paid a buttload of money for a degree to make less money annually and not get the training or the materials they need to be successful inside the classroom. So it draws a very similar parallel as far as that goes. And it's one of those things. We need to take stock and invest in the people that are going to help us maintain a level of our societal, moving forward, and keeping that, what's the word I'm looking for, that level of integrity, because we got to stop accepting mediocre. We need to get back up here to, above average is kind of the low end. We need to have an expectation of excellence, not mediocrity. But that comes with investment with those who want to do those professions that, again, are not glorious. I'd rather pay our teachers and law enforcement the salaries that all the professional athletes are making.
So true.
And let them make extra money based solely on endorsements. If you want to play professional hockey, here's what the annual salary is. Anything extra you get from endorsements. Same thing with football, baseball, basketball. And then that extra money, let's funnel it into our law enforcement education, because doing those two things right there will help out tremendously.
That makes me think of another profession that's actually like that now. Politicians. Isn't that how politics, right? Here's a salary, and then you get these endorsements, and right.
Those endorsements tend to corrupt, not to necessarily do anything.
Exactly. And I think that's the problem we're having.
Right.
Right. It's $175,000 your salary, and you can get money in kickbacks and walk out, with Nancy Pelosi $25 million.
Book deals
or $250 million. She put a $25 million house in Florida.
Careful, they might Clintonize you. All right. So where was it? Oh, yeah, here we go. I do not think so, Jeff. My wife would be not happy if I'm running for governor. And in New York, I don't think a conservative would win ever again, unfortunately.
Right. No, you're better off running for cover.
Not governor.
Right, at that point. So it's I think part of me is definitely a realist when it comes to most situations, but part of me very much so wants to believe in the better nature of men and women. One of the reasons I say that doing the photography is so cathartic for me, because it helps me stay in tune with my humanity and my empathy, which I feel all of us need a little bit more nurturing in that aspect. It's very easy for us to be hardened and turn cold. And again, I think it's more courageous for us to stand up and say, look, Just because they're doing it doesn't mean I have to do it. I know this is right, so I'm going to choose to walk this path instead of that path with them. And I honestly believe collectively, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that disagree, but I believe that collectively, as a group, as a society, if we could just put a little bit more effort into giving more grace. I tell people all the time, I give grace because I know I've received it in some of my weakest times. And if I can't allow that to others, what does that say about me? Especially me going around saying that I'm a Christian and I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. If I can't do the same thing, then how good of a Christian am I? Amen. So I think moving forward, if we could just take a little bit more time, we have an opportunity every day that we wake up. We're given a gift that we can be a positive influence in somebody's life, or we could just accept what's given before us and say, okay, whatever, I'll just kind of go along with the program and not try to do anything meaningful. Whether it makes a difference or not is inconsequential. We just need to make sure we're moving forward in that positive direction. And I think a lot of things could change. And I think we could see meaningful change in a shorter period of time if we collectively, again, kind of policed ourselves and made sure and just, hey, we're moving forward to do the right thing. All the BS aside, I think it would make a huge difference.
Back in the day, it takes a village to raise a child. I mean, I remember walking down the sidewalk, and I think I've told this story before. I'm not sure if it was on the live or on Meet the Pressers, but I'm walking on the sidewalk, cursing like a sailor as a young kid, and Wayne Stuttle's mother, Jan Stuttle, remember it? Matt, come here. Brings me right into the kitchen, shoves a bar of ivory soap or lava soap, or I don't even know, it was a bar though. I know that, right in my freaking mouth. I ran home, told my dad, and he beat my ass. Right? It's like, nowadays you do that. You run home, tell your parents, and you got a lawyer knocking on your door.
You try to poison our kids and kill them.
Right. And it's I mean, sometimes I think, okay, did I stop swearing? No. But did I remember it? To this day, yes. Yeah. Do I want my kids swearing? No. Right. So, I mean, it's values that are taught. I think that we're far and few from that time frame. And that's the demise of society to an extent. But then we also look at the things that we're doing in public, or we're doing over the internet. The things I say we as a collective whole as a society, because you've got people out there that are saying things with, like Facebook user here said, very well said. Well, could that have easily been somebody that just has a, anonymity? It says Facebook user, and then it just says you guys all suck. Yeah. Because they're hiding behind that, or you're behind the wheel of a car, and you're behind a steering wheel, you're behind a keyboard. Would you say the same thing to somebody's face?
Probably not.
With the threat of being punched in the mouth,
right?
Yeah, well, and again, think a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think everything we do, people have lost their appreciation for consequence. So let's kind of go back to the story you just told, the quip. Now today, if there was a child walking down the street, let's say adolescent, 12, 13 years old, and he's acting out of line, and one of the neighbors goes, hey, you really shouldn't be doing that. The kid's going to curse that neighbor out because they have no consequence. If the neighbor goes to the mom and dad's house, more than likely they're gonna be, what are you doing talking to my kid anyways? It's not your job to parent my kid. Okay, fair enough.
Somebody needs to.
Right. And so when we see that over the years, and I would say over the last several years, people have become so emboldened and brazen to do whatever they just instant reaction, that knee-jerk reaction. It's very much similar to what I learned my freshman year in college in psychology, the id. They're satisfying that id that they should have already grown out of that phase, but it's like everybody's reverting back to it because they don't fear consequence. Because as a society, we have stopped punishing the wicked and rewarding the righteous. And what we do now is, if you're wicked enough, we'll still celebrate you, as a modern day, hero or, woman, whatever. It doesn't make sense. It's completely backwards on what we will reward our society for doing and what we punish our society for doing.
What's the Bible quote? Right?
Which one?
Yeah, exactly. What is it? When good becomes evil and evil becomes good.
Yeah. And so I don't understand it. My heroes are vastly different. When I was growing up, are vastly different from now. If you were to talk to heroes, today's modern hero is famous for just being famous. They have done nothing. They're not a Nobel Prize winner. They didn't, create the most fundamental law of physics that still to this day holds true. They didn't have a breakthrough in medicine or any of these, things that have benefited society. These are the heroes that we should have, not someone who is here today, gone tomorrow with the latest fad. It makes no sense to me.
Yep. No, it's so spot on. So spot on. And that's that pendulum. Hopefully that pendulum comes back the other way. And
you can only hope.
Yeah, we start, my hero, like my daughter broke my heart yesterday, the other day, or it made my heart flutter. Our 6-year-old, Daddy, I love you. You're my hero. Like out of nowhere. I was like, oh.
Enjoy it while it lasts, because there's going to be
I know.
That's not the case. See, my kids are older, 28 and 23. So they kind of did the drift away and then came back. They realized, oh shit, Dad does have a head on his shoulders. He was right, and so it's one of those things. Well, in that sense, when people would say, hey, who's your hero? Or there's always that time like, who's your best friend type thing. You know what? My grandfather, 25-year military, came home and served his community for another 25 years.
Nice.
Married the woman he loved. She passed away, and for several years I was his caretaker, but he had integrity. You shook his hand and he gave you his word. You can bank on that, and that's hard to find these days.
It is.
It really is. And
Genuinely.
So I tell people that everything that I have that's good within me, I credit to my grandparents. They have always been my heroes, and it's just one of those things. And I think that's what we're missing. That influence, that positive influence, consistent positive influence that is going to help. It could have easily been the different way. I could have been born in an area where I didn't have that and turned out completely different, So it's having that support system again in place. Right. All of these things make a difference, and we need to get back to that. We need to remember that it's important,
And just to clarify, we've got a 30-year-old, a 27-year-old, and a 22-year-old as well.
Okay, well then. So yeah, you've been through that. I remember the day that my daughter, and it's funny too, because I remember doing all the daddy-daughter dances and everything with everyone through her being in 8th grade. But I remember the time how brokenhearted I was when I was no longer cool. It was like, oh, Dad, my friends, like, wow, And then all of a sudden, somewhere through high school, she's like, oh, Dad, can you come pick me up in your Jeep? Because it was all lifted and gnarled out. So she can get the clout because now I was the cool dad. So
Right.
It's that roller coaster, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is.
Yeah, those bad jokes. Love them.
I was the king of those.
Right, for sure.
That's awesome.
So give us some of the camera equipment. I'm intrigued as far as the photography and stuff. You mind shedding some light?
No, not at all. Not at all. Are you kidding me? I'm a camera nerd. So professionally, I choose to shoot Sony cameras. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with Canon or Nikon. These are all great systems. You also have Fuji, Olympus, Panasonic. There's a bunch of different systems. Sony works for me. I've never had an issue with it since the fall of 2017. It's been flawless. Just like, I choose to shoot Glock, someone might choose to shoot SIG. It doesn't matter. If it works for you and it performs when you need it to perform, God bless you. Keep going forward.
You're good.
I do what I shoot professionally and what I shoot personally are two different setups. I use Leica rangefinders for my personal work, a lot of my personal work. I see the world in black and white, and the Leicas provide a monochrome sensor that you couldn't shoot a color photo if you wanted to with those cameras. It's going to be monochrome. So yeah, and it slows the process down a lot. And again, it's very cathartic for me. It's that walk, that conversation, that investing time in the person I'm speaking to, that transfer of trust. But yeah, professionally, man, Sony's it, especially now with everybody who's a photographer needs to be able to do video. They've definitely become strange bedfellows. And so Sony offers me kind of a one-stop shop and a single form factor that's very affordable. So I actually use Sony Alpha, the Sony Alpha 1, the A7S Mark IIIs, the A7 IVs, and I have an FX3 on the way with just a ridiculous amount of glass as well to go with it. So But it's not just the cameras. There's a lot of stuff. You guys know this as far as like you have to have the right audio because your video could suck, but if your audio is great, people are going to stick around. It can't be the other way. Lighting, your memory cards. Are you recording off camera or are you just going to monitor off camera? There's
batteries, extra batteries.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. And I got rigs for all occasions. I got rigs that use V-mount power. I have small rigs that are just, high speed, low drag is how I refer to it. So, the thing that working part-time at the local camera store has been great because I get a chance to teach and educate people, which is amazing. I get to learn from the customers that come in, which is amazing as well. And it's just been a lot of fun. And it never ceases to amaze me, when people have that aha moment or watch them, growing on their journey and realizing nothing for nothing. We can do everything we want to with our phones, at the end of the day, for the most part. But you have to get past some of that marketing and realize, to really, up your game, you have to now go to mirrorless hybrid equipment. To go more into cinematography, not videography, you have to go to more of a cinema level camera, and all these things require different types of investment, and the investment of time and learning. Just like anything, training, you have to learn. It's a diminishing skill. You have to get out there and invest a quality portion of your life in mastering your craft, and I can make that comparison back to the samurai, not just the samurai who were swordsmen, but samurai who were tradesmen, spent 1/3 of their day maintaining and caring for their tools, just their tools, let alone building and crafting something of magnificent beauty, a lot of which those structures are still standing today. So you have to be willing to give something of yourself to be successful in anything that you do. But especially with the trade of photography and videography.
That's cool. It always intrigues me because our oldest daughter and our middle daughter are both photographers. Our oldest daughter actually does it as a profession, and she just did a photo shoot for a wedding in Hawaii. They paid for her to fly to Hawaii, and then the photos came out so well that the local tourist magazine actually put them in their local tourism stuff to say visit Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. So now they're actually contemplating buying a house in Hawaii and Airbnb-ing it. So they're getting a little bit some ideas, business ideas there.
Right.
Very cool.
Keep going back to Hawaii. So you had said earlier a lot of glass. You got a lot of glass, and my quip to that what it was going to be, but I didn't want to break your thought process. A lot of glass for a lot of class.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I'm still a knuckle dragger. Ain't no doubt about it. You can dress me up to take me out, but at the end of the day, I'd rather be, ear to the ground out in the street and be out in it. It's how I feel most comfortable. And I think a lot of people, I did construction for 17 years before I retired.
With your hands.
Yeah, industrial and everything. And I referred to myself as the sleeper. I was college educated. I wasn't the typical blue collar guy pounding a 12-pack of beer on the way home, or not on the way home when they got home and stuff. Some of them make it
on the way home as well. That's fine. It's not that long of a drive, but
I took a lot of pride in my workmanship, and once I got to the point where I had a team, there was no B team with me. You were either on my A team or you weren't on my job site, But I wanted people to carry themselves because I didn't want us to live up to that stereotype of dumb blue collar guys. But the way that I am, the tattoos, I still get tattooed. I dress in 5'11" khaki shorts and black t-shirts because it's easy for me. And all my button-down shirts are plaid, except for I got a nice suit and I got some nice dress shirts and some cufflinks. So we all have our thing. But it's important for me to realize, and I have accepted it a long time ago, this is who I am, and I'm okay with that. I'm, for lack of a better term, the tattoo sporting pikey from Snatch that's just going to come out of nowhere, the sleeper. And take you by surprise. And I'm okay with that too. I've never been uncomfortable in my own skin. So
it's good. Yeah, I don't have a single tattoo. Thought about it back in basic training. Was going to get a tattoo of my wife and our oldest daughter at the time. And then they told me that it would be destruction of government property. And if I did that, I would be Article 35. So I was like, or Article 15. So I was like, okay, I won't do that. So we're gonna sneak across the border into Oklahoma or into Texas, or where the heck were we? So it was Fort Sill, Oklahoma. We were gonna sneak across to Texas. It's back in the '90s, so
right.
But yeah, so
Crazy, man.
all right. Well, we are down to 6 minutes. Charlie, you got any other things while I start bringing in the giveaway here?
Yes. All right. So Matt is going to go through, dig up all the people that have emailed us or have gone to meetthepressers.com/giveaway. Thanks for taking that off just in time for me to read it, Matt. And he is going to he's going to pull up a name. What we're going to have you do, Thomas, is Matt's going to pull up a number. Thomas, you're going to pull up a number between the range that Matt gives us.
Okay.
And whoever that number is, that person is going to receive a Mantis X10 laser training system, $250 value, and we'll get your info and get that to Mantis, and Mantis will send that to our winner this week. How can people find you and all of your stuff? You're on the Facebook and on the Instagram?
Yeah. So if people can actually just search me, Thomas, THOMAS, Yoxall, it's YOXALL, Yankee Oscar, not W. People hear the W and they want to do a W, but it's actually Y. And if they were to do a Facebook or Instagram search, even LinkedIn, it's going to pull up everything I do, the Sure Shot Photography, the Get Out Arizona. If they want, they can reach out to me via Messenger. It's funny because every time I do a podcast, that's when I'm most cognizant of looking for like new message requests, because people will reach out.
You're right. That only makes sense.
I want to make sure I'm not, nobody thinks I'm being a jerk or anything like that. But
he seemed really cool, but he doesn't write back to anybody.
Yeah.
He's like, who is this?
Right. Who is that ruffian? Or if they want a mild bit of entertainment, they could find me on YouTube, and it's Get Out Arizona, and you'll know you found the right. I think there's only one of us on there, but you'll find the right one when you see my mug. You're like, oh, okay, that's him. But yeah, I travel now that COVID's over. I'll be traveling a lot more again and stuff. So anybody who's watching that's law enforcement or has to do with first responders and military, reach out to me. I love telling those stories. I love being able to shine a spotlight on the amazing work that they either do still continually, or if they're retired, what they have done. And yeah, we make something happen.
Very cool. Very cool.
I'll actually be in Albuquerque, New Mexico after I teach the class in Las Vegas. I'll be there doing a episode with Master Ken. I'm going to be on his show. We're going to do a pepper spray episode.
Very cool.
It'll be in June,
Very
I think.
Cool.
June.
You should do what Anthony Calandro says and put a little pepper spray on your hot dog afterwards.
Jeez.
I'll put pepper spray on his hot dog for him.
Oh,
Wait, that did not come out right.
I meant a real hot.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
Right.
Okay, so let's see.
All right, how many people do we have email tonight?
Actually, pretty surprised we got more than, being that we were running a little off there on the schedule. Looks like 15. So give me a number between 1 and 15, sir.
13.
Okay.
All right, lucky 13.
It's a prime number.
Right now,
So that is going to be Alan Lau, L-A-U.
Oh, Alan Lau. Awesome. Alan's a buddy of mine up here in Massachusetts. I had him on my show. Congratulations, Alan. That's awesome. Good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah.
All right. So Alan should reach out to us and G Webb says 13 was his number 2. So
He's funny.
So congrats to Alan. As Matt is doing the typing there, we're going to sign off here. Please make sure you subscribe to the Writing Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and the Meet the Pressers YouTube channel. And you can find Meet the Pressers. You can find Public Safety and Education. You can find those on Facebook. You can find Writing Shotgun on Facebook, but I can't do anything because I am 1 day into a 60-day ban, which is a bunch of crap. But anyway, regardless, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thomas, we thank you for being on. I know we've never met, But I did a little homework, and you have an incredible story, and it's an education listening to you, and you sound like an awesome guy, and I look forward to meeting you sometime. Maybe having you hopping in the stagecoach sometime and having you on my show. That would be awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate it every time I'm able to do one of these. Again, to me, I'm living the dream. This is my rock star life. I get to meet new people. I get to talk to new people, hopefully inspire new people. You know, with my story and everything. And God, I couldn't ask for more. I tell people all the time, the Lord gives me everything I need on a daily basis, no more, no less. And here's proof positive. I'm here again with you guys. So this is awesome.
That's great.
I'm glad we can make it happen, and stay safe, my friend.
Always, guys. Take care.
Thanks, you too. All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will talk to you Tuesday, April 19th, 8 p.m. Eastern for you Arizonans out there. We're going to have Amanda Suffolcool on Tuesday night, and then on Thursday, April 21st, we are going to have Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. On Thursday night, we're going to start to give away some CERT pistols as well for all the folks that are training. No, my eyes. So anyway, we thank you guys for being here. Please like and share and subscribe and all that happy stuff. Yeah, we thank you guys for being here. It's great to see everybody. We have a ton of people. We had some new people coming. We had some old people coming back, and we're glad you guys are all here. We thank you very much, and we'll talk to you guys soon.